Today, many enterprises are worried that they are losing the AI race. And most of the time, the easy scapegoat is models. They say that they lack good models. In reality, and in most cases, they are losing it because their agents cannot actually do anything inside the business. They most of the time sit in sandbox demos, disconnected from real systems, real data, and real workflow because trust is an issue. There is no identity, there is no governance, so of course there is no path to production. SnapLogic is tackling that infrastructure gap with two new platform pillars, AI Gateway and Trusted Agent Identity, which are built to turn AI agents from demonstration into digital labor that actually executes. And today we have with us Jeremiah Stone, Chief Technology Officer at SnapLogic, to walk us through that. First of all, Jeremiah, it's great to have you on the show. Talk a bit about the company. This is the first time you and I are talking, so let's know and learn a bit about SnapLogic.
Well, it's great to be here, Swapnil. You have a great community. I'm a fan of the channel, and I love how you're digging into the deeper, more nuanced problems that go beyond the hype and really focus on what it takes to get AI and agents to work. So SnapLogic is a company that firmly believes in accelerating success in enterprise environments. So we are fundamentally an integration, automation, and orchestration platform. And we have focused on bridging and unifying what have typically been separate worlds. There are many people that focus on data integration, getting access to data within the enterprise. There are many that focus on application integration, applying action to enterprise systems. SnapLogic is unique in bridging these worlds. So we can as easily interoperate and unify, normalize data systems, as well as we can take action in application systems. And that set us up to be really thoughtful, primed, and ready to focus on the rise of digital labor, digital shoring. I've heard the term that people are talking about. And if you need to actually create digital labor, well, suddenly you need to now think about all of the things that are inherent in getting work done in the enterprise. And that fundamentally comes down to things like access control, things like management of work in the environment, and application and orchestration. So if you think about what applied AI infrastructure really means, you have to have ubiquitous access across all of the individual data systems. You need to be able to transform and normalize that data so agents can use it. You then need to be able to orchestrate within the governance and rules of the business and take action in the applications of the business itself. And so we focus across that entire span. Our most recent announcements that we're really excited about is providing the ability to have a secure and governed front door in terms of a AI gateway, but then the ability to manage access from that gateway down in and across all of the individual applications and systems within the enterprise itself. And this is an area that the emergent standards have kind of ignored. If you think about agentic web standards like MCP or A2A, et cetera. And so we've really focused on hardening these emergent standards so they can be put to work in production environments in industries like finance, healthcare, heavy industry, manufacturing, et cetera.
Excellent. Thank you. You share so much which needs unpacked, so I'll just go through it one by one. I will start with digital labor. This is something, of course, you folks use deliberately. You just mentioned in your opening as well. Set a stage for our audience. How would you define digital labor? And when enterprise, you did touch upon that, but I want to go deeper by dissecting it. When enterprises look at their AI agent initiative right now, what are some of the core execution problems that they keep running into, which kind of led SnapLogic to come up with this solution? So let's talk about the core problem that they are facing.
Sure. So I mean, fundamentally, the reason why agents are interesting in the business sense is unit economics. So unit economics means how much does it cost me and how much time does it take to get a unit of work done, a task. So when we think about what is digital labor in the simplest sense of the term, it means that we're able to automate work. And we're able to now have the machine do tasks or activities that were previously only possible with human intervention. So that's what I mean when I say digital labor. So in the context of the enterprise, however, much of digital labor is actually highly repeatable processes that have heterogeneous data. Some of it's transactional, like from a CRM system or an ERP. Some of it's unstructured, documents, purchase orders, invoices, that sort of thing. And the labor that could not be automated before language models was labor that had to take these types of information together, use contextual reasoning, and then take action in those systems. And so when we talk about digital labor in the context of the enterprise, we're talking about, again, high volume, heterogeneous data, tasks that require contextual reasoning and action within enterprise systems.
Excellent. Thank you. And that kind of brings us right to the announcement. Let's talk about AI Gateway and trusted agent identity, and why do these two things belong together?
When we talk about an AI gateway, we really mean the end-to-end application and usage of the enterprise environment. So that means you have to be able to both make the enterprise surface, whether those are APIs, documents, file systems, etc., available to the agents, but you also have to be able to manage the work as well. So what do you have to do? You have to be able to authenticate the agent coming in to make sure that it is able to take action within the systems. You have to authorize. So authentication, authorizations are different things. But then you also have to manage traffic across all of the AI interactions. So from this point of view, really, you at the moment are using MCP as a way to expose the different tools and services within the enterprise. But when an agent is hitting an MCP endpoint, that agent needs to be able to authenticate, set its scope and context, and then be able to be managed in a way that doesn't blow up the underlying systems and create enormous latency or other problems. So the SnapLogic AI Gateway takes principles from API management, from workflow, from policy-based management, and applies it in the context of agentic systems.
Now, can you also talk about how do these two capabilities fit into the broader SnapLogic agentic integration platform? Where do they plug in, and what does that mean for teams who are already using SnapLogic?
Absolutely. So for many years, we have focused and worked with our customers on driving the human cost of integration to zero. So low code, no code, direct connectivity, drag, drop, configure in a visual interface. So really making all enterprise systems in heterogeneous environments, whether it's SaaS or on-prem, available to be integrated either for data integration or application integration. What we're adding now, however, is the ability to orchestrate AI workflows. And so whether you're using the SnapLogic Agent Creator, our capabilities to build agents within the SnapLogic platform, or you're using a different agentic platform, what we can now do is orchestrate workflow across heterogeneous enterprise environments and manage governance, security, and observability as well. And so we can think of this as really an additional layer enhancing the capabilities that SnapLogic has already provided, but really built from the ground up for the agentic web. And we put it to work in our own business. We operate many different agents at scale within our own business, and that's directly impacted us. And we have many members of the SnapLogic community that are applying these capabilities to unlock not only the data they have in their environment, but unlock the excited people that have been experimenting and playing in sandboxes with these agentic systems. Now we can actually put that to work as applied AI infrastructure.
What is interesting about AI as compared to a lot of industries is that at times you cannot dog food, you cannot use your own technology depending on which industry you are in. But with AI, most of the time, you are your number one customer, you are your first customer, and that's what you just explained. Now let's talk about customers, not SnapLogic as a customer of your own technology, but what does this actually change for organizations that adopt these capabilities? What can they do now that they could not have done earlier before you start using it?
Well, I think the most interesting thing, and I had a conversation with one of our customers yesterday that works in the HR services realm. And one of the things they're focusing on is not software as a service, but service as software. So they're looking at the services that they have delivered as a business over the last 20 or 30 years. And now they're finding the elements of their business that they can completely automate, and they can put their domain knowledge and their proprietary data to work, but they can do it in a way that completely changes the economics of their business. And so they're redefining their entire business model to compete more effectively and to become an agentic company. But they're doing that by focusing on the business outcome that they're delivering and then working backwards from the business outcome, decomposing all of the processes and tasks that are associated with that outcome, and then automating those individual tasks. So that's a company that's completely changing themselves. On the other hand, we have companies in the financial services sector, for example, that are looking at key constraints and bottlenecks in their business, and they're completely changing the cycle time associated with them. We have, for example, customers in the finance domain where they are changing business processes for loan underwriting. They used to take 48 hours to go through the process of onboarding an application, doing the different credit checks, any money laundering, that sort of thing. Now they can perform all the checks in 30 minutes. So from 48-hour cycle time to 30-minute cycle time on key business processes, and completely automated, not just offshored to different service centers, or et cetera. It's a complete disruptive, innovative leap ahead for these companies. And we're seeing it in discrete manufacturing. We're seeing it in financial services. We're seeing it in biotech. We're seeing it in business service delivery as well. But the common thing across all of these is the ability to look at a business outcome, decompose the tasks associated with it, identify the heritage systems in the landscape that will support the agents, and then build and deploy the agents. So it's really, really exciting time because it's business innovation that is taking advantage of the technologies that we have today and really taking the best of historical enterprise technology and combining it with the agentic technologies that we have either from the AI labs or from the larger ecosystem, whether it's open source or commercial vendors.
Let's talk about POCs to production wall. Nearly half of generative AI projects get abandoned. We have seen pilots are designed to fail in this world. What specifically do AI gateway and trusted agent identity unlock that helps organizations break through that barrier and scale agentic systems into production so most of their pilots and proof of concept actually materialize and turn into products?
Well, Swapnil, unfortunately, most proof of concepts are success theater. They frame the data upfront in a way that they can use it. It's mostly, in many cases, used to learn how to use the agentic technology itself, whether it's language models, et cetera. And then it demonstrates within a completely fake and constrained environment that the team was able to understand the business context maybe, but the ability to deploy that in production, they haven't even tackled any of the real problems. And so what AI Gateway allows these teams to do is to take as a part of the proof of concept process, the deep responsibility to also prove business value by utilizing the governance frameworks and rules that are available that are required for production deployment and build that into the proof of concept so you can knock down technical and business risk in the POC phase already, and demonstrate that you've been able to retire business and technology risk as part of the POC, as well as demonstrating the proof of concept as well. But what I see happen, the majority of proof of concepts that fail to move to production that I'm seeing are because after they prove that the idea of the agentic model could have worked for the business context, now they take on the rest of the iceberg instead of retiring that risk early on and building it into the POC itself. And so AI Gateway allows these same teams to be able to make a thin slice and retire the infrastructure needs as well. We are seeing, on the other hand, many teams that struggled in with POCs, maybe spent a year and a half using only open source tooling, hand building out all of these things, only to find out they're going to have to hand build their authentication mechanisms, their authorization mechanisms, their orchestration, their policy management. But they're able to pivot very quickly into using SnapLogic tooling and just accelerate. So going from a year and a half of struggling to maybe 6 to 8 weeks being able to pivot a project into success. So we love it when teams start from the beginning, retiring technical and business risk as part of the proof of concept, really being a proof of value. On the other hand, we also are able to help teams that are struggling with these big, heavy rocks, but have developed a cognitive architecture to deliver their business value as well. So we see both things happening. My guidance, my recommendation to teams that are launching into these domains, however, is to identify the governance and larger security management burdens that they'll have to bear, and start to at least test and burn those down early in the process.
Now, if you look at SnapLogic, you folks support over 1,000 connectors, and it is kind of model agnostic across OpenAI, Azure, Gemini, Bedrock, you name it. How does the AI gateway handle that kind of multi-model, multi-system complexity without creating new governance nightmares?
Well, fundamentally, we thrive in the spaces between the systems. And so that's our goal. Our job is to make all of these complex, diverse system environments, whether it's the network architecture, the deployment models, the different systems, or even language models, just work seamlessly together. So it's fundamental to our existence as a company that we reduce complexity and we simplify architectures. And that's, in this case, absolutely the case as well, because what we're doing is we're making the AI gateway work seamlessly with the enterprise's identity provider. So we work directly with the IDP, so that when the user is authenticating, let's say they're using an agent in a conversational way, we can then take, for example, the OAuth token from the user, we can then pass that via the gateway, and then we can propagate that to the underlying systems. So in that case, because you're using the identity management provider, you're able to then manage the session across, let's say, and we have customers that find it really valuable to mix and match between Gemini, Claude, OpenAI, or even, like a Mistral or something from Hugging Face running in their own serving infrastructure. But because you're now normalizing and standardizing your access control, it just dramatically simplifies the architecture. It doesn't complexify it, quite the opposite, actually, because now you can manage it in a well-governed way and manage it across the system. So we have many customers that are highly heterogeneous in their lab and model usage. We partner closely with the hyperscalers, whether it's with AWS on Bedrock or working with the AI labs, et cetera, to make sure that we can even out all of these differences between these systems, so it's just a seamless and natural experience.
Now, let's quickly talk about Jean-Paul as well. You folks build this Agentic AI tool, use it internally, and now opening up to customers. Tell us what Jean-Paul is and what it actually does and why you decided to build and share it the way you did.
Jean-Paul is our general purpose business partner for every employee at SnapLogic. So as I've told you, here, what's really important to us is to empower and unlock value for every individual employee, for every company that we serve. And we believe that for ourselves as well. And so Jean-Paul is our, AI agent, but really is a general purpose business partner that can work across all of our internal systems and meet the employee where they are. So whether it's email, Slack, Teams, scheduled workflows, et cetera, it really is a teammate and a business partner for us. So in our case, because we are a software ISV, that means we need to focus on the entire business lifecycle that we have, whether that is prospecting for new customers, going through a sales process, supporting a renewal or an expansion with an existing customer, understanding our internal platform operations, and really stitching across all of our individual systems, whether that's our ERP system, our sales system, et cetera, or our unstructured documents as well. And because we believe in empowerment, we have things everywhere. We are not a very rigid and governed company. We're very much a let flowers flourish where they will kind of company. And so what Jean-Paul has done is really help to normalize that across the system for us, and also generate documents for us, whether that is a customer-facing presentation or a document for a board meeting, we find this incredibly useful. So it's an MCP first architecture. We have fundamentally spanned all of our internal systems and made that available to our users as well. What's really amazing, however, is the kind of adoption we've achieved with this Swapnil. So in the first 30 days of internal production use with zero training, we were able to scale up to 100 users across 16 departments, and basically, we're talking hundreds of thousands of productivity of value in the first 30 days and thousands of hours of work saved. So we found this so valuable and impactful for our business. We said, well, look, we're an applied AI company, but this is a really valuable application. We're going to make this available as well as an experiment, as a gift from our learning, because we've been working in this domain for 7 or 8 years now. And so we're making it available, and we have numerous early pilots on Japal already, and it's going really well. So we're always careful to remember who we are, but when we create something of great value, we want to share it with the world.
Jeremiah, thank you so much. This has been like genuinely kind of eye-opening conversation, because that's what we're facing, moving beyond hype and all the FUD to actually see AI in production. And company like SnapLogic, you're using it and then you're opening it just the way Google did with the Borg, and it became Kubernetes, so you don't need a proof of concept, because that is what is powering all this in a way. So thank you so much for sharing how SnapLogic is building this bridging this gap, and also building all these technologies. So folks, go check out SnapLogic and everything that Jeremiah and his team are building. Thank you so much, Jeremiah, and I look forward to our next conversation, because this is field changing and you folks are doing a lot of exciting work in this space. So I'd love to have you folks back on the show, but I really appreciate your time today. Thank you.
Well, would love to come back. As I said, love the community, love the work you're doing, and really cutting through the hype and getting people the straight dope on what's working, what's not working. We're really blessed because we work with leading companies across really every industry that are really pushing the boundaries, and we're hungry for impact, not just hype as well. So love being part of the community, love the work you're doing. As I said, happy to come back again. And any viewers that want to, hit me up, DM me on LinkedIn, X, whatever. Look, we're humble, hardworking, and paranoid, and we know that we don't know everything, and we're just trying to learn and do better every day. So thank you so much for having us on your program.